We tend to believe that wealth is loud, that the richest people in the world are flashy, photographed, visible. But what if the greatest financial empire in modern history was built not through spectacle, but through shadows? What if the most influential banking dynasty on earth didn't need a throne, a crown, or even a visible political office, because they controlled something far more powerful than royal blood? Money, information, timing. For 2 centuries, the Rothschild name has circulated like whispered code. Did they control nations? Did they finance wars? Did they create the model for central banks? Did they build the blueprint for modern capitalism itself? And here's the strangest part. Most people today know the name, yet almost no one knows what they actually did. Today we pull back the velvet curtain on how one family rewrote global finance, engineered systems still used today, and quietly shaped the world economy we live in. This is not conspiracy. This is financial architecture. And it started not with a castle, but with a coin dealer in a cramped Jewish ghetto. The world before the Rothschilds. 18th century Europe was not a place of equal trade. Money was fragmented, borders were volatile, monarchs collapsed frequently, and entire economies lived or died based on wars. Banks existed, but trust didn't. There were no international transfer systems, standardized interest frameworks, credit networks, diplomatic intelligence channels. If a king needed money, he negotiated like a merchant bargaining for grain. Slow, unstable, dangerous. And in this world of instability, there lived a man behind a small table in Frankfurt's Jewish ghetto. Mayor Amschel Rothschild. Not a banker. Not yet a financier. Just a collector and trader of rare coins for princely clients. But Mayer understood something others did not. Money moves faster than armies. Information is more valuable than gold. Trust can be weaponized. He watched European monarchs rise and fall not from battlefield defeats, but from bad debt. And that is where his empire begins. How one man built a system. Mayor Amschel Rothschild didn't build wealth by acquiring land or gold mines. He built relationships. He became financial advisor to the powerful Prince William of Hesse, one of the richest men in Europe. But Mayer didn't just serve the prince, he studied him. How he borrowed, how he protected capital, how sovereign debt worked. And soon Mayer realized a secret. Monarchs treated finance like brute force, not strategy. They borrowed aggressively, spent recklessly, and collapsed predictably. Mayer did the opposite. He lent cautiously, hedged risk, diversified internationally, and then he made the single greatest strategic decision of his lifetime. He turned his 5 sons into a private, family-run information and finance network. Each son was not simply a banker. Each son was an embassy, placed with precision. Son location, strategic purpose. Amschel Frankfurt home base, German princes. Nathan London Empire hub, global trade center. Salomon Vienna Austro-Hungarian power. Karl Naples southern trade, Vatican influence. James Paris French aristocracy, treasury bonds. No bank had ever been structured like this. It wasn't branches. It was intelligence stations. Messages traveled faster through Rothschild couriers than through official government lines. This meant one thing. They knew who would win, who would fall, and who would pay before anyone else. The Rothschild network became Europe's first private central information system. War, intel, and a new kind of power. The Napoleonic Wars changed everything. As Europe destabilized, traditional banks panicked. But Nathan Rothschild in London did not. He had reliable couriers, coded communication, foreign exchange networks, military payment channels. Nathan funded not French or British victory, but the entire conflict infrastructure. He lent money to armies, to governments, to suppliers. to allies on both sides, carefully hedged. He did not choose a flag. He chose leverage. This was not treason. It was finance evolving beyond monarchy. Nathan became the man who could move war. He innovated a tactic that shaped modern finance: short-term risk lending and long-term government bond control. Why did kings trust him? Because unlike aristocrats, he demanded repayment in securities, not feudal favors. He wanted bonds, influence, guaranteed returns. When the British needed to pay troops through hostile territory, Nathan used Rothschild couriers, coded letters, and gold transports to deliver payments faster than state infrastructure. Armies survived because the Rothschild network functioned. And then came the turning point, the Battle of Waterloo. Waterloo and the birth of modern markets. June 1815. Napoleon versus the Duke of Wellington. The global balance of power hinged on one day. The Rothschild couriers were present. They witnessed movements. They transmitted signals. While governments waited for official dispatches, which took days, Rothschild agents moved like lightning. London learned of the result hours before the British government, through Nathan. This advantage birthed the most persistent myth in financial folklore. Nathan Rothschild used early access to Waterloo results to crash and then seize the London bond market. What's true is more interesting than conspiracy. He did not crash the market to steal it. He stabilized it. British markets panicked. War financing uncertainty soared. Investors fled. Nathan stepped forward, not as a speculator but as the only banker willing to buy when everyone else feared collapse. He purchased massive government bonds, restoring confidence in Britain's solvency. This cemented two facts. 1. The Rothschilds controlled information speed. 2. They understood that faith in the financial system is worth more than the money in it. With Waterloo, they didn't just fund a victory, they became unavoidable. Shadow influence and global architecture. Between 1820 and 1870, the Rothschild network became Europe's lender of last resort, builder of railroads, stabilizer of currencies, broker of peace treaties, architect of debt restructuring. When nations collapsed, they called not monarchs, not parliaments, but Rothschild offices. They funded the Suez Canal, the restoration of French finances, British industrialization, Austrian national debt. They helped create international bond markets, standardized interest models, diplomatic financial protocols. The Rothschilds didn't need armies. Their weapon was credit. When they refused financing, wars stalled. When they backed infrastructure, nations exploded with growth. This was not secrecy. It was structural power. By the late 19th century, the Rothschilds faced backlash not because they manipulated governments, but because they replaced them in roles of financial authority. Anti-banking pushback rose as nationalism spread. New powerhouses emerged. Morgan Banking in the U.S., Rockefeller Oil Capital, Deutsche Bank in Germany, Banque de France national integration. Central banks began absorbing roles the Rothschild network once executed privately. Global finance shifted from familial trust networks to institutional state systems. The Rothschild empire did not collapse, but it decentralized. By the 20th century, they were no longer the only private diplomatic banking entity. They had, in effect, trained their successors. Wall Street, central banks, Paris financiers, London exchanges. The system they built still lives. The Rothschild name faded from tabloids but persisted in architecture. Look around. International bond markets. Interbank transfer systems. Sovereign debt management. Wartime treasury protocols. Private-to-public credit networks. Family banking dynasties. Morgan, Warburg, Lazard, etc. All of these trace back to Mayer and Nathan's network logic. Money is influence only when it moves faster than governments. Today, SWIFT, IMF, World Bank, central banks, multinational lenders, all operate on intelligence-based liquidity, the principle the Rothschild couriers pioneered. The system became institutional. It became digital, but not original. Their fingerprints are everywhere, even if their name isn't. 3 critical takeaways. 1. Finance replaced monarchy as the true global power. The Rothschilds didn't take crowns, they made crowns economically dependent. 2. Information speed created modern banking. Their courier network was the prototype for financial data networks today. 3. Trust, not gold, is the root of capital. Markets rise or fall based on belief. Nathan understood this earlier than governments did. A system that outgrew its creators. The Rothschilds designed a network where private actors could stabilize nations. But today the system is so vast that algorithms trade sovereign debt. Funds move faster than policy. Markets discipline governments more than voters do. The architecture that once protected Europe from collapse now threatens global shock if misused. When capital moves without accountability, nations are no longer masters of their fate. Even Rothschild foresight never imagined AI-driven markets, trillion-dollar sovereign funds, or instantaneous debt cycles. We inherited their blueprint. We industrialized it. We automated it. Now the question remains, who controls the system, if anyone? If you want more investigations into how hidden financial structures shaped wars, empires, currencies, and the modern global economy, then like the video. Subscribe to World Financial Mysteries. Comment below with the next dynasty or financial empire you want decoded. Because the story of money is the story of power. And power rarely speaks for itself. Until next time, stay curious,